Welcome to Glowing Success. My name is Heidi and I am your host. This podcast is for beauty entrepreneurs. Join me weekly as we dive into the beauty industry's ins and outs, from business strategies, top-selling services, and taboo topics. I will be interviewing industry leaders with empowering stories and game-changing insights. Let's illuminate your path to success together. Let's jump into this next episode. Welcome back to Glowing Success. Today's episode is all about how to grow on social media without the burnout, people. So if you're feeling burnt out, this is the episode for you. My special guest today is Rachel Pedersen. She is a USA Today bestselling author. She's a founder of multiple powerhouse brands whose organic content systems have reached over 100 million people a year. How crazy is that? And she's deeply passionate about helping small business owners grow with clarity, visibility, and ease, and of course, without that burnout. Welcome, Rachel.
Oh my gosh, Heidi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited about this episode because I will say this is a hot topic online. Like, people are talking about burnout. People are talking about how that's, how am I going to do this? And then speaking to the beauty industry, like, we are busy with our clients, and sometimes the last thing you want to do is post something or think about content. Okay, before we dive in, if anybody's listening and they don't know who you are, can you just go a little bit into like how you arrived to where you are today?
For sure. So, hi everyone. Officially, I'm Rachel. I'm a Minnesota-based mom of 3. It's crazy. I have a kid going into high school, and I'm like, when did this happen? It's so fun though. Okay, so I actually life started out crazy. We won't go too deep into this yet, unless we want to. But basically, I grew up in poverty. Grew up in a really kind of the bottom 1% situations. It was a tough upbringing. And then at the age of 21, I became a single mom, and I was like, what do I do with my life? I have no degree. I have no real technical skills. Like, this is not good. I love serving as a server, but I can't do this forever. And so I decided to go to school to become a hairstylist, took up the loans, and I became a cosmetologist. I actually worked in the hair industry for a few years. I loved it. I'll just throw this out here because this is one of my favorite things. My specialty was high maintenance people. So the ones who were like a little bit wonderfully crazy like me, they would come in and they would be like, I brought you like the inside of this ear of corn. This is the color blonde I want. And I'm like, perfect. I completely understand. And no one ever wanted to steal my clients. It was the best because they were like, heck no, that's too much work. So I was working as a hairstylist. And then one day a client came in. Actually, a few years into being a hairstylist, my husband and I met. This is just random, but my husband and I met and we eloped 13 days after we met, which is wild, right? So we eloped.
I love that.
I'm still working as a hairstylist. We have 1 kid now. Boom, we're pregnant. 2 is on the way. Like, life is moving. And a client sits down in my chair. First time I've ever seen her. I'm giving her the best highlights of her life. And literally, we're talking about Shark Tank and marketing. And I was like, I don't know a lot about marketing, but I know that when I show before and afters on social of like extensions or a really dramatic blonding procedure, when I show those before and afters, people start to come in more. And she's like, can we hire you to be our marketing consultant? We own a fast food fried chicken chain. Do you want to come do marketing for us? And I was like, sure. So I said yes. And that was literally the saga. 11 years later, we've built all of this, which is wild.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh. I thank you for sharing that because that's so relatable and so like, wow, things did move quickly.
They did. I
love that.
waiting for things. I don't like waiting for anything. I'm like, let's either go or no,
Yeah. Well, and you have grown your audience really authentically. Like, I have been following you online for years and read your book. I've done all the things, not to be a stalker. I just affectionately,
Yeah.
But I will say, like, you have really grown. I mean, you guys, she has 350,000 followers on Instagram alone. And so let's just dive into you have grown your channels authentically, you've grown your business authentically. How do you define growth that feels good and sustainable?
Oh, what you said was actually one of the key qualifiers. Sustainable is everything. And I share this because, so a lot of people know online, I have bipolar type 1, which basically means I have really great high days where I'm like, oh, I can do anything. And I do. It's so fun. It's amazing. And then I also have days where it's like my body feels like a lead suit and I can't get out of bed. And I think actually more people have those days that aren't bipolar, but experience them. And we need to learn to work with them. And so that's where my systems that we use now have come in clutch. I was like, I need something that works where I can do the bare minimum on the days where I'm laying in bed watching Netflix. I need to recharge. I need to get energy back. Like my cycle has to do its thing. And so I started just saying, how can I create like content when I'm feeling good that I can use when I'm not? And so that was a huge part of it. It all has to work with my natural cycles, and we all have them, which is so wild. We all have good energy and like low energy days.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
I'm actually big into batching. So I
Mhm.
love to do that too, because like the days that you put your makeup on, you get your hair done, you have the energy, you have like, just the gumption, take
Yes,
advantage of that time, right? Like
for sure.
I personally think that's how to do it. But like if a beauty pro is busy in their chair, they are
Mhm.
taking clients all day, it's sometimes even hard to eat. I
Yes.
think personally that's how to do it. But like how do we make it so it doesn't, like, social media can intertwine in our day without taking over our whole day? Maybe
Yeah.
do you have some other tips other than batching?
Oh, for sure. So then there is just in time element because as a beauty professional, there's a client every 30 minutes to 3 hours, right? So it's tough because you do not have time to go like in the back room and post in that moment. You just don't. Anyone who says do it between clients, what? Have you ever been washing bowls? And like, no, that doesn't work. And I know that firsthand. So I created a routine for myself that every single time I went back to mixed color, I had a note for myself. It said, get the before picture. So as I would come out with the color, I'd be like, oh, quick, let's just get a before picture. And I'll say, can I use this or do you want me to block out your face? So then that way I've already got a note of it. Cool. And then I'll just like have them hold something in front of their face or put a sticker on it. And then as we're walking out, there was one wall in my salon where I was like, every time we walk past this wall to head up to the front desk, I'm going to take the after. So I just built a routine of getting befores and afters. And then I use this silly app called PicStitch. It's free. It's so easy. And you can create like grids and collages really easily. And literally from that, just before and after, side by side, it's just that routine. That was how I built my clientele.
I love that. And you know what? That's over time, those types of habits build so fast, right? But over time, it's like you're not even thinking about it. You're just doing it now.
Mhm.
And so, and your future self will thank you for that
Mhm.
because then you'll have something already ready to go. Or like I like to make all my posts and then schedule them or save them in my drafts. And so I
Yep.
don't even have to think about it. I'm like, okay, but the reminder, I love that you mentioned that because that reminder of where else you can put it. So whether it be an alarm, because some people like really like alarms. It depends if you're a hairstylist or an esthetician, because obviously if you're an esthetician, you probably can't do an alarm. That's going to wake up your client or that's going to disturb the
Yes.
mood. But I love that you put yourself a note, because I will say, like, you're just not automatically going to think about this. You know what I mean? So like it's not going to think in your realm. The other thing I want to touch base on and talk about is, one thing that I feel like people get burnt out with social media is they're trying to do what everybody else is doing. They're trying to
Mhm.
do what's trending. They're trying to
Yeah.
do, and I will say, I don't think that it's bad to do what's trending. I like,
Mhm.
actually, trends are really amazing and to hop on them if you can. But
Yes.
what is one tip that you would say, like, if you are getting burnt out just from like trying to stay up with the people and trying to do, what is your, how to show
Mhm.
up authentically but not burnt out, right? Like how to really show your personality.
Okay, so there's a few things because some of it comes down to just like the human condition of being a human.
Yeah.
You know how the more you consume, the more difficult it feels to create because you have too much and you're like, well, this person did it so well.
Yeah.
So one big rule I have for myself, and this is huge, is I have to create before I consume. So before I do any scrolling, you know, when you sit down at the end of the day and you're like, I'm like,
Yes.
I gotta find like a B-roll clip in my videos that I can put over a sound. I have to create before I go and get into comparisonitis of what this person has done and probably is doing for a living. And then,
Right.
yeah, what I have done. Because then shame kicks in and guilt of not posting. So
Yeah.
create before you consume, even if it's just one piece of content. And then also, this is big, like try not to consume content that makes you feel like you have to keep up with the Jones. Obviously, yeah, obviously I can tap into the world of like super great style and having always great makeup and hair and outfits. And that's just not me. I'm a
Yeah.
big scrub. So I love being in sweats and I love wearing no makeup. And so if I want to create content in that mode, I'm going to. I
Yeah.
know it's a little different when you're a beauty professional. However, sometimes it's nice for people to build rapport, yeah, and know that you're a person too, and all of this is your magic, you know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
showing up in all your forms. And I think
Mhm.
honestly that is trending online and people don't want to see the super polished
Yep.
posts and videos anymore.
Yeah.
So I love that you touched on that. And I also think specifically to Instagram on your
Mhm.
stories, obviously your stories show to your followers people. So like this is the time to maybe show those like morning moments where you're like, all right, I'm having my coffee. You know what I mean? So I love that you
Yes.
mentioned that because I feel like that's trending. I feel like people are connecting with that. I feel like it's not, something that is taboo anymore and people are showing like
Mhm.
their raw faces without makeup. I just love that. And I love that you mentioned do not post, make your content before you
Mhm.
consume content. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
why, but that clicked with me so much.
Yeah, I love that. It helped me because I think we all walk around and think that other people have everything figured out in the areas that we feel deficient. We're like, well, they've got it all figured out. I know I have that comparisonitis, and I
Yeah.
have to remember, no, you've got you figured out. Like, go
Yes.
show you. And
Oh,
if there's like an inkling, there's one that's been like tickling me for a while that hasn't been done in the marketing space, and I'll share it because this might inspire some thoughts. For a
yeah.
while, I've been thinking about this not announced series, but I cook dinner every night for my family. I'm a big like cook things from scratch. I love cooking. It's my built-in cutoff for the workday. But I've been wanting to do this thing where like Paul peeps around at the camera and goes, "Hey, Rach, what's for dinner?" And I'm like, "Oh, beef bolognese." And then he asks a question about marketing, and I'm cooking as I'm sharing these marketing insights. And I've wanted to do this for a while. No one else is doing it. So you better believe this weekend we're doing it because
Yes.
yeah,
Well,
those gut feelings are for a reason.
I was just gonna say that, like, you feel it, you have that
Uh-huh.
intuition, people, so trust that intuition. So if you're like, "I have this idea, but I haven't seen any." Nope, just do it. Just
Yeah.
do it. So my next question for you is, so
Mhm.
speaking of this is the other thing that I hear the most, is
Yeah.
how do I pick a platform? Like, how do I, obviously for me, I would suggest Instagram just because Instagram's really good for like beauty professionals and things like
Yeah.
that. But there's so many social media platforms, there's so many ways to show up online. What would you suggest for somebody who's like, I'm just getting burnt out from just trying to pick a platform or trying to be on all of them?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So one platform done well is really, really important. That's it. You don't have to have all platforms kicking at all times. And I also want to share this because this is big. As you grow, not all content performs immediately. And it's a weird thing. It's a very weird shift. I talk to people with 7, 8, 9, even 10-figure businesses, consulting, and they're like, I had so much more engagement when we were smaller. And I'm like, that's totally normal. But
Yep.
it's the sum of everything that's happening behind the scenes. Pick one platform. That's what I'm
Yeah.
going to say. Pick one and just focus on reach or impressions or
Yeah.
even a simpler metric. How many pieces of content did I post this month? Can I do 5 more next month? So keep it super simple. And then once you kind of get into a routine, if you're mostly doing short form vertical videos like reels, then just go to You can literally go to Google and look up an Instagram video downloader, and you can download those videos, use the same captions, same hashtags, hop into Metricool, the scheduler, and schedule out that short form for everywhere else so that you do not divert your focus. You don't even have to log into the other social media platforms, but just from doing that, within 3 minutes, you can have it on like 7 platforms.
I love that. And tools like
Mhm.
Metricool, I haven't used it myself, but I've been hearing about so much of these platforms like it and that one specifically that I'm
Yeah.
like, this has got to be such a good idea because the effort you're putting into one, like you said, it can definitely transfer into the other ones. And trust me, you're going to benefit from showing up in all the other ones too. It's just we
Yes.
can't put our time and effort into all of them because every
You
platform is
can.
like a little different, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Similar in a lot of ways, but I will
Yeah.
say like unique in some ways too. So I love
Mhm.
that piece of content that I love that because that is
Yeah.
going to make our days and our lives so much easier. So I will put that in the show notes just as a link to check it out, you guys.
Oh,
Metricool, right?
yeah, and okay,
Okay.
so this is interesting. If people use code Rachel, they get 20% off for life, and I don't make anything from it.
I love
So
that.
I was the consultant that came into Metricool when they were Spain-based and helped bring them to the US. And the
Cool.
cool added benefit of that is I got to give them my wish lists. Could you
Oh my
add this
gosh.
feature? Everyone needs this, etc. And so the tool is actually not custom built for me, but it is custom built for what we need, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. So they're not my client anymore. I'm not affiliated professionally, but you can get 20% off if you use them forever.
I love that. And you know what? When people share something that they just like themselves and they're like, I'm not even affiliated, it's good, you guys. It's good.
Uh-huh.
And that she's using it too. So
Yep.
one of the other questions I get is, should I show up every day? Because that's something I get a lot. And so what I want to talk about in this topic is basically like, you know, protecting your peace. And like, that's another thing of burnout is like, do you need to, if you don't want to post every day, you probably shouldn't, and showing up in the way that gives you that peace. And also like, you can still grow your following, still grow those DMs still. So is there a balance there that you have found?
Yeah. Okay. So, case in point for today, we're not actually going to actively post a single piece of content, and we will still have about 30 pieces of content going out today.
Wow.
So, peace above all else. I want to put that out there. It is not worth your mental stability. It is not worth stressing 24/7 over. Because then you also don't even want to show up and you're doing it
Right.
from like the wrong place. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yes.
So I will say there's two different sides to this. One is take note of where you're currently at. Like, how many pieces of content are you producing? And then realistically increase it. The best way to do that is through finding content systems that work. Like I have one on YouTube right now. It's totally free. It's the how to batch 30 videos in 30 minutes, and they're all B-roll style videos. And I change my shirt every 5 shots, and it's fantastic because then we have video for weeks that I can literally do nothing to produce. I just put some text on the top and pump it out. So that's one side, is like find things that are easy and fun and simple. Sometimes trends can be fantastic for that, just to get something out. And in fact, some of my best performing stuff has been the stuff that I posted at night when I had the giggles and I was being stupid. And I'll post it and then it'll take off. And I'm like, oh, cool. So I will wake up to a bunch of new followers. But the other side too is creating baseline content systems, meaning like a rotation, et cetera. I have also some trainings on my YouTube for free about that. But you have to find the system that works for you. And
Yes.
you need to also note that most of the systems out there are lying. They say, like, here's
Yeah.
how to do it. And then it's actually a 3 hour a day process. It
Yeah.
shouldn't have to be that. It doesn't
Uh-huh.
need to be. You can get great content done in 15 minutes a day. You
Yeah.
don't have to do every day. Is there an added benefit? Yes. It primes the algorithms to say this person's consistent. And
Yep.
it creates this cool thing called the mirror exposure effect, where people tend to assume just by seeing your face more often that they like you more. Isn't that
What?
bizarre? It's a psychological phenomenon.
I love that. Well, and I
Yeah,
noticed like, the algorithm, whether we like it or not, and whether we like to talk about it or not, it does like it if you show up consistently.
it
So I agree with that. And then I also really resonate with just doing what feels right. This
Yeah.
is probably, if you can take anything away from this episode, and she's packed so much information in this episode, but if you can
Yes.
take something away from today and, avoiding burnout, it's really just about showing up exactly how you want to show up, your personality, and, that connection with the client is going to happen so much naturally, so much more natural. And it's going to
Mhm.
happen a lot quicker too, because they can smell it when people are not authentically showing up online.
Yes. And one thing I'll share. So I always think about, social is great for the beauty industry. It
Mhm.
can be fantastic. It's a great way to attract influencers with some budgets and celebrities and cool opportunities. But I always think back to a few stylists I worked with that made 100 to 250,000 a year, and they had no social media presence. So
Yeah.
you have to remember that it's not do or die with social. You can
Yeah.
still build socials like an amplifier to kind of fill in the cracks in a schedule.
Yeah. And I truly believe sometimes social media is really good for your current clients to share. Like that
Yeah.
is, they're going to be like, hey, have you checked this girl? This is who I go to. Check her out here. Or so I do believe that. And I love in person marketing. I talk about a lot of in person marketing because there's just something about nurturing the clients you have, going to networking events, collaborating with other social, service providers. Like I agree with you. Social media is just one of the pieces in the puzzle of having
Mhm.
great marketing and bringing those clients in and bringing more awareness to your business. You had mentioned you have systems and things that people can join. You have given so much information. I think that everybody is going to love to contact you and work with you. Now, if somebody does want to contact you and work with you or just check you out, where can they find you and where do you like to hang out the most?
Yep. So the easiest place to find me is my website, believe it or not. I built it myself and I'm so proud of it because it's exactly what I wanted. So rachelpedersen.com, all E's and a V in my last name. And every week I put out 3 to 5 blog posts and they're packed full of info. I write them myself. I don't hire those out, but they've got steps and tips and tutorials and they'll weave you into all the freebies and trainings that you could possibly dream of.
I love that. And of course, I'll put everything in the show notes so you guys just can click it and it takes you right there.
Yep.
Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge and all the things. I know people are going to put a lot of this into action.
I'm so excited. And for everyone who's building, just remember, you know how sometimes we build and you're like, maybe there's something on the other side of this where the grass is greener. I still fantasize about putting in a full head of 22s. So just so just know that like the grass is green where you water it. So if you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I should become an influencer or go into marketing, you totally can. And I
Yep.
still sometimes want to do highlights and try to convince my daughters to let me. So
I love that. We are multifaceted people. You can be
very
multifaceted and still passionate about your business today. I love that. Well, thank you guys for listening. I hope you liked that episode and found something useful or tip that you can use immediately. And my episodes come out weekly, so I'll see you in the next episode.